I said, I don't care if I get arrested. I'll drag you the F out of that house. You give me that kid's sweatshirt. Welcome to the Andrea Giovino Show. I want to thank all my subscribers for continuing to subscribe. Please continue to put a thumbs up, leave comments so I know what you like. Thank you, Jesus, for giving me this platform. And today we're going to talk with Toby. Toby's back, TNT, with topics of the lifestyle.
I want to talk about the lifestyle and what I witnessed from you, growing up about survival.
Okay.
Because you're someone that is a survivor.
Oh, yeah.
And you had to survive without an education, without a husband, and you had to make it work out for 4 young children. Mm-hmm. And I watched you from a young age, being the oldest child, do whatever you had to do to try to put food on the table and try to give the kids a good life.
Yes.
And I kind of want this is a show that's mostly about the mafia change, mafia upbringing. So I kind of we give your audience some of which they want to hear. I want to kind of start with that, but I also want you to tell me and tell this audience, what it was like for you when you had to, during some of the most stressful times in your life, like where you had to steal to just steal. Or you had to threaten people, which I've seen. I've seen you steal. I've seen you threaten people. I've seen you do whatever you had to do.
I mean, one particular story that sticks out is that we moved to Bucks County, to start over, and because there was a contract out of my life. And then I'm trying to fit in, and I remember it was around Christmas time, and I didn't have much money at all, actually, and the school was selling these sweatshirts, and your brother Keith had wanted one. It was like it said the Doyle School. I remember he wanted one of these sweatshirts. He was in 6th grade at the time, and so I ordered the sweatshirt and in a large, a kid's large. I said kid's large. I ordered the sweatshirt. Sweatshirt comes back, and it's a men's large, right? And it was huge. It was past his knees. So I call up the woman that does it, and I says to her, it's his Christmas gift, because it was one of his Christmas gifts. And I think it was probably $8, but $8 to me back then was a lot. Like, I couldn't afford anything. I couldn't afford where I couldn't get Christmas gifts. If you remember, the church was bringing Christmas gifts, and there was a program through the prison system that I enrolled in because their father was incarcerated, and they were bringing gifts. So I really didn't have any money. So $8 was a lot of money back then. That's how I'm trying the audience to understand how this was so important that this little kid asked me for this sweatshirt on his Christmas list. So I called the woman at the school to tell her that I have to bring it back and change it because it's a men's large. And she goes to me, "Oh, I can't do that." I said, "What do you mean you can't do that?" She goes, "I'm sorry, that's what you put on the paper large." I said, "But do you understand it's my..." Now, this is a rich area. They don't understand people like me. The area was a very waspy,
upper middle class
area. And she lived in this big house, So I said, "Well, I'll exchange it. I'll bring it back." I said, "But I can't give him a gift that I said that the sweatshirt comes past his knees." She goes, "Listen, you're really annoying me." She goes, I'm not doing this. This is it. You're stuck with it. Buy another one." I didn't have money to buy another one. Well, here's where it gets ugly. Now Andy comes out. And she's a tiger.
Now, for those of the audience that don't know who Andy is, okay, I'm going to explain this real quick. So, my mother's name is Andrea. Andy, everybody in the streets, all of the mob guys in various different families, the 5 families will say, okay, know my mother is Andy on the streets. Her friends, family members know her as Andy. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
Andy comes out, and I said to her, "You dumb mother effer. I will come to your house. I know where you live, and I'm going to drag you the F out of your house." Now I proceed to get in the car. I said, "Stay here. I think you watch the kids. I'll be right back. Wait."
Now, this is over an $8 sweatshirt.
This is over an $8 sweatshirt. I get in the car. I go to the woman's house. I'm banging on the door. She happens to know I'm friends with Nadine Flago. She calls up Nadine. She goes, "Who's this woman that's banging at my door? She's the one with the blonde. She's got the New York accent." You know, she says, "Why?" She tells her the story. She goes, "Oh, I would give her what she wants. She's going to drag you out of the house. She doesn't care." I said, "I don't care if I get arrested. I'll drag you the F out of that house. You give me that kid's sweatshirt." Sure enough, the husband comes to the door. He makes it. She knew I was there. "Oh, just keep the other one here. Take this one. Take the kid's large." So that's what I had to contend with. People like that.
But, you know, there were also times when the kids needed bicycles.
Yes.
Tell that story, because I remember this, and I remember I wanted to run. I wasn't for this. But go ahead. The kids needed bikes.
Well, she wanted a bike, Brittany.
Okay.
It was on her list, her Christmas list. Okay? It was on the Christmas list. She was 5. And I didn't have money to buy her the bike. They were crying. "This is my list. I want the list." I'm like, "Oh, God, who am I going to tell her to go get a bike? I don't know what to do." I says, "Okay, we'll go." I says, "All right, leave the kids home and let me go to the store. I'll get the bike one way or another." Well, embarrassed to say, for my kids, I stole the bike. I did. You know that. I walked out of the store. I said, she was with me, actually. I said, "Brittany, ride the bike. Go ahead, you can try it. Let's see if the wheels go." She said, "I'm working, Mommy, it's working." I says, "Okay, well, I don't know if you're going to get the bike today, but I could put it on the list, on Santa's list." And I think I told you, take her out of the store. I said, "And we'll think about it." And then I just proceeded to take the bike. And I figured if somebody stops me, oh, I thought they were going to pay for it, or this one was going to pay for it. But these are the things you do as a street person, and I was raised like that, to give to your kids. And on top of that, I was working. You remember, I wasn't just sitting home.
But you were just getting by.
I was just getting by. I was cleaning people's houses.
You were trying to do what you had to do.
I was trying to do what I had to do to survive without a husband, without family, without anybody, without an education. And to understand for the audience, which I think a lot of my viewers are men, understanding how hard that really is, because you're very limited to what you can do.
And this goes for the men too that have children, aren't taking care of their children, leaving it on the single mother to take care of the children. You know, again, I always call people out when you see me on the show. You know, be a man, take care of your family, take care of your kids, don't be a disgrace. This is who I am. This is why I got to call people out. I like to bring things to the table. You're watching this and you ain't taking care of your kids, go take care of your kids.
Right.
Tell me about having to steal loaves of bread just to eat as a kid.
Oh, well, as a kid, yeah. And then, you know, my family will say that's not true. You know, they'll go, "Oh, no, that's not true. She's making up lies," or, you know, there's no lies to that. I mean, well, on their behalf, like my parents, I think they did the best that they were dealt with. They really did. My dad was working. He wasn't no slouch. My dad was a hard-working truck driver, but to cut it with 10 little kids, no, but they were degenerate gamblers. These were people that gambled. I didn't understand what that meant then, but I understand now. The money was going to gambling. That's where it was going.
But there was also organized crime.
There was organized crime going on in the house.
Going on in Grandma's house. Where,
I mean, you remember certain things.
She had Crazy Joe Gallo running card games.
Yeah, I mean, that was all going on. But even as you were getting older and we'd go over to the house on 28th Avenue, they were doing illegal stuff there. You know, whether it was selling drugs or whatever was going on, it was going on. And you think that's normal, though, because I subjected you guys to it. So how much better am I?
Well, I
as
know,
a parent,
I know now it's not normal.
No, but I'm saying,
growing up as a kid, this is what you see.
What better parent was I? Because I was doing the same thing, because that's what I witnessed.
But on your behalf, you did what you knew how to do in order to survive.
Yes, I did.
You now know better today.
Oh my God, yes.
That is not who you are or what you do today.
No, I would never.
And that's what I always love to convey when we do these podcasts is you are a changed person.
100. I wouldn't be able to live with myself consciously to do something wrong. I would never be able to live with myself because I have a conscience and I do go to church every week and I do go to confession, and I wouldn't be able to sit there like a hypocrite if I'm doing things wrong. Am I perfect? No, I'm not perfect. No one's perfect. You know, like, you know, we all get caught up in maybe, you know, talking about somebody or gossiping or not doing the right thing. And then after I think about it, I go, I could have handled that better. I shouldn't have said that, or I shouldn't have did this. I try to do the right thing on every level because I feel for many years I didn't.
But when you grow up, when we grow up, when people like us grow up in the street life, in and around organized crime, the survival of it.
It's to survive.
It's robbing. It's cheating. It's stealing. Not that any of this is right.
No.
But this is
it's survival.
This is what you're taught in order to get by, in order to survive. So it is unfortunate that, you know, this is how people are raised. They're brought up. This is what they're taught.
Right.
And for some people, it's a long, hard road to better themselves, to learn to step out and away from this lifestyle, which I know, you know, for you, it obviously took many years.
It takes a long time.
I
mean, it took a long time with a lot of therapy, a lot of church, you know, a lot of inward consciousness, a lot of work inwardly, you know, to recognize my own character defects and my own wrongs and to address me and be the best person I can be. And I love my parents. I mean, I had a great relationship with my mom. As you know, before she passed away, she was living with me. And I was able to express to her things that weren't right in my background.
But just in order to survive, and in this background where we come from, it is a violent. I mean, we're taught violence.
Violence.
I mean, in all honesty, you just mentioned, you know, your mom, my grandmother. I remember her teaching my little brother. Take the knife. She gave him a knife, and she was teaching him. How old was he? 8 years old?
Five, six, like that.
All right.
No, she take the knife. I still have that knife. Yeah. It was a little small knife.
Telling him how to stab somebody.
No, she said you stick it in, you twist it, and you pull up. I started screaming, "Ma, what are you teaching him?"
Now, I was a teenager at this point, and I remember this is like,
stick it in, twist it, and pull it up. When you stick it in, so he's gonna go kill a 6-year-old's gonna go kill somebody.
I might have been in my.
This is crazy.
I was either a teenager or in my early 20s, and I remember going.
Calling me.
I remember going, Ma, she's teaching him how to stab somebody. I mean, this is crazy.
Yeah.
So, this is what we grew up around. If there was a problem, it was violence.
It was violence.
You taught me, so we're saying that's crazy about grandma, but I'm gonna tell the audience what my mother taught me as a little kid. She's laughing because I think she knows what's coming. I used to fight a lot, even from like real little, and I'm talking when I was real young.
4 years old.
I was getting bullied, and my mother goes, "You do whatever you got to do to win." Okay, you do whatever you got to. I don't care if you got to punch, kick, bite, pick up a brick and crack him in the head.
Yeah.
You were telling me this at what age?
Yeah, very young. And
4?
I remember telling my your brothers, I said, you come home you come home here and you come home crying, I'm going to make you cry even more. Don't you ever come here crying if you got beat up.
I remember you telling me whose punches are going to hurt more. And you used to have big, let me see them knuckles.
I said, I'm going to take this fist. I used to go like this. I'm going to take this fist. I'm going to punch you so hard that you're not going to come to me crying. I'll pull your eyeballs out. And I said, I'll scrape them against the bricks. I remember Keith's face was like this. Now, what mother says this?
I don't know.
I'm going to pull your eyeballs out and scrape them against the bricks. It hurts me just thinking about it.
I don't know. I'm not standing up for you. But I can tell you, if you look at her knuckles now, she's got a fighter's knuckles. My mother used to punch it out with people, and this ain't no joke. And she would go to me, Even as I got older. Now I don't know if maybe teenager. Well, whose punches are gonna hurt more? Like and she, when I got out of line as a teenager, my mother used to look to punch it out, and I didn't hit her back. I'd cover up, and she would literally throw punches at me
because I raised these kids alone. I raised them by myself. I was the father and the mother. I had 3 sons, and your sister is the youngest. I had to raise them with an iron fist.
Well, thank
you
God.
got to be afraid of me.
Well, thank God I could take a punch these days. I'm all right if somebody throws a punch at me. It's not that big of a deal. You hardened me to some degree.
Well, the point is that none of us are perfect.
No, I know.
We're not perfect. You know, I've made mistakes in raising my kids. My mom's made mistakes. I love my parents. You know, they did the best they could. But the dysfunction of our lives that goes into the next generations is what affects everybody on a whole. So if you could get to a point and recognize the dysfunction and try to correct it so it doesn't continue to go on. And I thank God every day my kids are all good and we're all doing good.
We all make mistakes, but I think it's all about all of us, everybody, trying to continuously better yourself.
Yes, and learn.
Minute after minute, hour after hour, day after day, and year after year, and continue to try to be a better person.
Yeah, it's like now I see how your sister's raising the kids.
She's a good mother.
She's a great mother.
Great
so
mother.
is my son-in-law. Great parents.
Yes.
And totally opposite of how I raised you, because you know she doesn't promote any violence at all. No, Ma, don't teach them that. No, because I have the punching bag in the house. Stevie, go 1, 2, 1, 2. Ma, what are you teaching them? So, you know, it's definitely the cycle has broken.
Absolutely.
You know, and those kids are doing really well. And, you know, I'm glad that I am healthy enough today mentally to be able to address the wrongdoings that I've made in my life, because those were wrongdoings of stealing. Even though I was stealing for my children, which I have discussed with my priests and all, it's still stealing. And
thou shalt not steal. It's one of the 10 Commandments.
Exactly. And those were things that I had to understand that I did wrong. But as a mom, as a parent, I didn't want my kids to go without, you know. And yeah, I had major anger issues because I just get hot-headed. I'm a hot-headed person. And I've learned to curb that. I've learned to, if someone's going to bring me up to that level, I'm going to walk away. You know, I don't even want to get into the dialogue of the words, because those words I don't want to come out of my mouth that are harsh, because I can get like that, and I try not to get like that.
Try not to. Try not to. We know where we we could go into that ugly place.
And I don't want to go there.
I don't want to go there either.
I don't want to go there. So, and even to be on YouTube, the YouTube world, I found out very quickly, is an ugly world. It really is. It's ugly. There's going to be a lot of people trying to attack your character, call me names, as you know.
I see it.
People have done it, but you know, you try to stay the course. I try to stay a lady. I try to fight back in a dignified way. You know, not get in the mud. And I've learned also I could handle things even better. And I'm learning as we're going along with this.
You know, we know a lot of times, too, there's a lot of different people that watch these podcasts. There's different guys. There's different groups. There's some organized crime people that watch this. And I like to say and make certain comments because, you know, if we're people that could change, you know, we change. We look to God. We look to our faith. And that's the key source to changing.
It's a healing.
and being a better. Anybody can change. I don't care if you've murdered people. I don't care what type of crimes you've committed. You know, there is forgiveness through Jesus Christ. There is forgiveness through God. You can be healed. There is a path forward for you. And I like to convey this to, you know, friends and you know, friends that are involved in organized crime and the mafia and that ego. It's an ego. The mafia is an ego. Organized crime, it's an ego. It's a stronghold. It's power. Same thing with gangs. And, you know, there is change. You can change, but, you know, our master is God. And when you follow the teachings and you follow the 10 Commandments and say, these are my rules in life, and then we follow the teachings of Jesus Christ, you know, this is the path forward for us. And this is how we changed our lives around and we go from point A to point B. God bless. Is there anything else you want to?
Thank you for tuning in.
Subscribe.
Thank you. Continue to subscribe. We need all the subscribers we can possibly get. The views. Thank you for the views. Thank you for comments. And we'll see you next time. Thank you so much.
Best to everybody watching. Don't forget to follow us on YouTube at
Andrea Giovino 1 and Instagram, Andrea Giovino.
And
Toby
on
T.
Instagram at Toby TNT and the number 1. Best to everybody.
See you next time.